What's happening, all you minties? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions, and join me today for your overview of the Dark Knight's Metal Omnibus from DC Comics. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so it is finally here, and I'm not just talking about the delays of last year. I mean, it is finally here, as in Scott Snyder told us this was coming 3 or 4 years ago. He hinted at it, that, hey, we're going to put all these stories together, which is why I never picked up the hardcovers or the trade paperbacks. As a matter of fact, my first time reading it was borrowing a trade from a friend of mine, and then I read the Absolute Edition. Now, one thing I do want to make perfectly clear when it comes to this omnibus, because I know there's a lot of confusion, especially if you're new to collected editions or this channel, is that the stories contained in this omnibus do not include Dark Knight's Death Metal. This was a follow-up to this, and I'm assuming, hopefully one day, because it is getting an Absolute Edition, that this might get its own omnibus, depending on all the tie-ins that they can put in there. This does contain more content than the DC Metal, the Absolute Edition, which I've already done an overview of. If you want to check out that video, you can click on the link above to check out the video of this Absolute. But this does definitely have a lot more content, and content that I wish they would have included in this Absolute. Now, what we're looking at here is your standard edition cover. On the left-hand side is your direct market cover. That's right, DC is starting to do direct market covers and standard edition covers for their Omnis. We saw it with The Flash. So the direct market cover is only available at places like cheapgraphicnovels.com, waltzcomicshop.com, comicsbugle.com, Dying Breed Collectors, Organic Price Books, In-Stock Trades, your local comic book shop, places like that. And the standard edition cover is available everywhere else, or everywhere rather. So let's take a closer look at this. We have the Dark Knight's Metal logo here, the symbol of all of these characters that play a huge part in this story. Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. And here we have Dark Knight's Metal Omnibus, DC logo down there. Surprised the creators aren't here. The back of the book showing us the different types of characters we're going to see through here. The Dark Knights are coming, and with them, the true father of Batman. What the hell does that mean? Well, I've talked a little bit about it already with the Absolute Edition, and I am going to talk a little bit about it through here. And it's interesting that everywhere else, except for the title, is Dark Knights with a K, but it is called Dark Knight's Metal. And why metal? What the heck does that mean? Well, a lot. It means a lot. Alright, underneath the dust jacket, yes, we get that same design that was on the Absolute Edition throughout the book. But it's not embossed, like it's just flat, and it's a glossy cover. And then the Dark Knight's Metal Omnibus right there with the DC logo at the bottom. Now this book retails for $150. We are going to open this up and talk about some of the stories collected in here, not go too far into spoilers, but rather minor spoilers and what kind of leads into this. But just in case you don't want to know anything going into this, what exactly this event is, minor spoilers for that. Nothing huge, no big reveals or anything like that, but just giving you the premise as to who those characters were in the back of the dust jacket and what it all means for the DC universe. And here's what the inside of the dust jacket looks like, the flaps right here. I love the symbols. And yeah, so just in case, again, I don't like to spoil things for people, but feel like even if talking about things that set up the events, I have to talk about some spoilers that happened beforehand from previous stories like New 52, Batman, it's a little bit of the Darkseid Wars, Final Crisis, and things like that, or even the story of Hawkman. And, you know, I guess it depends on your definition of spoilers, but just in case, playing it safe. Put me on mute if you want to and just look at the pretty pictures. Okay, so as you can probably tell, it does have this glossy finish to it. You can see the reflection of the camera right there. Is what the end paper looks like. We're going to talk about the content here in a second because everywhere you go, the content isn't showing up in solicitations. You actually have to do a little bit of digging. Dark Knight's Metal Omnibus and Dark Knight's Metal Um, right here, giving you the credits like Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo, Jonathan Glapion, and all of your colorists, the letters, the cover artists for both the direct market and the standard edition cover, and then the direct market, or rather the collection team. And here's your table of contents telling you what is collected in here with the issue. So they're giving you the name of the chapter, and then they're giving you where it originated from. So, very cool. I'm glad they did that. Because as you can probably tell, the reading order on this is pretty damn good. If you've read the stuff. If you haven't read it, I guess take our word for it. But it does kick off with the Forge here. And this was a one-shot that leads into the next one-shot. So these are called the Dark Days. So we have Dark Days the Forge, we have Dark Days the Casting, then you have Dark Knights Rising Wild Hunt, Batman the Red Death, Batman Murder Machine, Batman the Dawnbreaker, Batman the Drowned, Batman the Merciless, Batman the Devastator, Dark Knights the Batman Who Laughs, Teen Titans number 12, Nightwing 29, Suicide Squad 26, Green Arrow 32, Flash 33, Hal Jordan the Green Lantern Corps 32, Justice League 32 and 33, Batman Lost and Hawkman Found, as well as the 6-issue series of Dark Knights Metal. So it's really everything from the Dark Knights Metal story that is collected in here. The necessity, the things that you're going to appreciate these characters a lot more if you read. So when I mentioned that I wish the Absolute had contained some of the stories in here, what I meant by that is at least a Dark Days prelude, because these are so important. This makes you appreciate the story so much more. Because with the Absolute, you jump right into the middle of the story, it feels like, even though it's the beginning. Here, you learn to appreciate the setup. You actually get to see what Scott Snyder is aiming for. You get to see that he has a love and respect for not just his own run, right? Because we are talking about the entirety of the DC universe. It's been around for a long time, and there are several creators that you all know I've talked about on the channel that I love, and they respect that past, like Peter David, Mark Waid, Jeff Johns, Grant Morrison, people like that, creators like that. And I never thought that Scott Snyder really enjoyed the things of the past. I mean, yes, you can read into his Batman New 52 era as a great jumping on point, but there are elements that I wish that he had added in there or had left alone from previous years of Batman storytelling. With this, he comes at it from a different angle. He acknowledges the fact that DC has been around for a long time, that these characters are complex and some of them convoluted, especially with the Diary of Carter Hall. So while I won't go too deep into spoiler territory here, because there are some shocking moments, both both of the Dark Days have some shocking revelations here, because you're like, what does that mean? But the Diary of Carter Hall plays an important role in all of this. And Carter Hall is, of course, the character of Hawkman. And Hawkman is one of these characters that pre-Crisis, had multiple origin stories and multiple creators arguing as to which the true history of Hawkman is, and Hawkwoman too. So much so that after Crisis, it took a few years to actually get the editors together and go, okay, this is the actual history. And even to the New 52 era, we still get the whole confusion as to what is the true story of Hawkman and Carter Hall in current DC continuity. So that's what this does. This does help establish the current continuity of both Kendra and Carter, Hawkwoman and Hawkman. That's what this book tries to do. So you don't need to have read anything about Hawkman beforehand to appreciate that. You just know, hey, you're reading this guy's diary and he's kind of losing and he's a little bit crazy. How old is this guy? All of those answers are revealed through here. The things that I will say before reading this book that will help you enjoy this to its maximum potential, definitely, at the very least, and I know this is a lot of reading, but Batman by Scott Snyder. If you have the Omnis, both Omnis. Batman Eternal? No, not so much. But definitely Batman by Scott Snyder's Volume 1 and 2. I always suggest it, but just in case, Crisis on Infinite Earths, Infinite Crisis, and Final Crisis. Those are three big events, because we are looking at the latest event. This isn't Flashpoint. This isn't the Infinite Crisis or Zero Hour, but it does reboot a little bit, or give the DC Universe a new era, because this is the end of the Rebirth era. And I know people are divided whether what is the true ending of the DC Rebirth era. Is it really this, or is it Doomsday Clock? Well, if Jeff Johns was around, like Scott Snyder still is, I'm sure it would have been Doomsday Clock, but this is what we have here. This, of course, all of it set up by the New 52 Batman. Most of the important things that I'm talking about come from New 52 Batman. And the other books I would suggest reading is maybe a little bit of the Justice League too. But there are some things in here for old-time readers. There's going to be some inside jokes, like when they're joking about Aquaman's, that one time he had a hook for a hand. And here's Duke Thomas, a character probably forgotten by most writers, but Scott Snyder, since he added him to his run of Batman, brought him back for this. So that is definitely the essential reading, and now we get to this. So yes, it starts off with a journal entry from Carter Hall, talking about how adventures began. We see Batman rescue Dr. Madison from this volcano, this underground volcano lair where they're experimenting on some kind of metal. Aquaman helps rescue everybody, and he wants to know what exactly is going on because that facility is owned by Wayne Enterprises. And we all know who Bruce Wayne is. Maybe not everybody in the DC universe. And then we have the character of Ganthet, I believe that's Ganthet. I don't know, I just assume every Guardian is Ganthet. He's one of the Guardians that sends the Green Lanterns on missions. He sends Green Lantern to a particular location on Earth, saying that we're getting some really strange readings, we need you to go investigate, something bad is about to happen. So that's where he makes it to the Batcave. What could Bruce Wayne possibly be hiding in the Batcave? Well, if you've read things like Tower of Babel and every freaking other story where Batman turns on the Justice League, you know he's got secrets amongst secrets. So that's the big two stories that are set up through here. Batman's on his journey to study these metals that he keeps hearing about, tying it into Carter Hall in his journal. So he's trying to find that diary. And we see the return of some characters here too. That's what I really liked about these books, is that we have Mr. Terrific come back. Mr. Terrific, we haven't seen since the Earth 2, the New 52 Earth 2 book, which was canceled and most people kind of wrote him off. I love this character. He's one of my favorite DC characters. All because of JSA by Jeff Johns. Now, they're working together, and actually you get a little bit of a retcon, or actually maybe not a retcon. Maybe it was the plan all along to have him go to Earth 2. He was sent there by Batman to again investigate some weird readings. We have this magical egg. Now, longtime readers of DC Comics immediately recognize what this is or what it will be, and that does come into play later on, but that's all we will say about that. Here, we learn through a narrative all the dirty little secrets that Batman has been hiding from the Justice League, including a Black Ops team like Batman and the Outsiders. And this voice keeps talking to them. Now, Green Lantern's trying to use his ring to figure out who is talking to them to reveal themselves, and that's one of the big moments in here, so I will leave that alone. Meanwhile, Batman's still investigating what the heck is up with these metals and what they have to do with him, goes to the Fortress of Solitude, and even in the Fortress of Solitude, he has his own secret lair. He asks Superman if he could have a secret lair, and Superman's like, yeah, sure. But he has a door, he threw the key into the sun, so he can't open it, so he needs the greatest escape artist to help him open it. Something you're probably going to notice about these pages, by the way, are the three different artists working on the book. You have Andy Kubert, love that stuff, and you have Jim Lee, who doesn't like that guy? And you have John Romita Jr., and they're the ones that work on the next Dark Days one-shot, too. Now, what is revealed to be in this Fortress of Solitude that Batman has been keeping secret from everybody, that's another one of the big shocking moments. So, we'll skip into the next book. So, by now, Batman has learned of more and more about these metals, and he's gotten some... Actually, he's gotten a sword from Diana here. Kendra and Carter Hall play a bigger role in all of this with the journal entries and talking about their findings and what these prophecies could mean. And finally, Batman shows up at his Batcave asking, what the hell are you two doing in here? Because this is the cave within a cave. And I'm skipping through this particular issue right here because there's a lot that happens. But I don't want to spoil the big shockers for people. So here we have a confrontation between Green Lantern. He's like, "You've been hiding things from us," and he's wondering what Duke is doing here. Now, the whole talk of meta, what does it all mean? Now, in the DC Universe, superheroes are known as meta beings. So that's enough of a word to be so close to the word metal that it ties into this. Hell, Scott Snyder didn't miss a beat because he ties it in here. And he talks about how Duke Thomas has a potential. We finally get a code name for him, and it's Signal, and you can find out exactly what his powers are when he puts on the ring temporarily. But it is revealed that there's a dark multiverse underneath Gotham City. We've had this dark place that needs this prophecy to unlock these creatures to come and take over our world. The Dark Knights are coming, again with a K and not an N, and with them, the true father of Batman, which we read in the back of the dust jacket. What does that mean? Well, that leads directly into issue number 1 of the Justice League. Of Dark Knight's Metal. So here we have a big fight with, by the way, we see these symbols. These are part of the prophecy right here. And they will come to play in all this. The other thing I didn't talk about was the meeting of the Eternals. And, I guess the meeting of the Immortals. Sorry, Eternals, that's already been copyrighted. The Immortals, like the Immortal Man and Ra's al Ghul, or Ra's al Ghul, or Ra's al Ghul, depending on how you grew up reading that story, or if you were introduced to the character through the animated series. And characters like Vandal Savage, and how they're all meeting, and that is a really cool Illuminati type of group. So, after that adventure in space and defeating Mongol with a big Power Rangers kind of team up, I love that, the Justice League comes back to Gotham City to find the mountain right here. This mountain is the Challengers Mountain. It is pretty much the headquarters of the Challengers of the Unknown. And here's where they meet Kendra Hall. And Kendra is informing them about the prophecy and the multiverse. So if you read Multiversity, I didn't suggest that as an essential reading before reading this, mainly because it is a very confusing book, and I think you'd appreciate it more after reading something like this. Or, of course, Crisis on Infinite Earths and Infinite Crisis. But they talk about the multiverse and that there's a dark multiverse. And the prophecy reads that everything ties back to Bruce Wayne. And instead of cooperating with them, he ends up taking the nth metal he keeps hearing about to go and study it some more. And everybody's like, what the hell, Batman? Didn't you hear about the prophecy? Because Bruce Wayne, Batman, is a character that refuses to believe and be tied down by prophecies. He doesn't believe in this. He believes in science. He believes in, no matter what ends up happening to him, supernatural or not, he believes in solving these mysteries by himself. Now, in this, it is a little closer how he works with, I don't want to reveal the ending of the first issue, because that is a big, shocking moment, especially if you're a fan of, well, let's just say the Vertigo universe. Let's skip a little bit here. This is the team of Immortals I was talking about. Now, Batman, trying to fight this prophecy, steals this little baby Darkseid. Is that the Darkseid, or is that a baby Darkseid? This is why I said some suggested essential reading, and runs into the Court of Owls. Again, the Court of Owls playing an important part in this particular story. Now, one thing I didn't note is the relationship between Batman and Superman are a little bit different here. Like, it feels like this is Superman Reborn. So this takes place after Superman Reborn, when the New 52 Superman and the pre-New 52 Superman combined in that particular story. So their past are all there. You know, they're not at each other's throats. All right, so what happens when the last piece of the prophecy, the fifth metal, comes in contact with Bruce Wayne? Well, the Batmanium, as they call it, opens up this portal like we set up in the previous issues. And these little Joker Robins come out. And, you know, you have Superman and Wonder Woman asking, where's Bruce? Where's Bruce Wayne? And they get an answer. You want Bruce Wayne? Look around. And all of these creatures answer, I'm right here. So this is the beginning of the Dark Knights. With issue number 2, this is what it's about. It's about these creatures, these variants of Bruce Wayne, including Bryce Wayne over here, coming from the Dark Multiverse to wreak havoc upon our dimension. Now, that's where it ends, and Bruce Wayne is no longer around. You can find out what happens to him. Let's talk about how this is mapped, though. Actually, before we talk about how this is mapped, let's talk about these characters, because I'm sure most of you have seen these characters around and don't know much about them. Well, you're about to learn, and actually, this Omnibus does a damn good job of helping you learn who these characters are. So you have the Batman Who Laughs, which I'm pretty sure most of you are familiar with. And each of their origins, I'm not going to go into specifics, although I'm pretty sure you can figure out their origin stories by just looking at them. But I'm not going to go into specifics, but all their origins are told through a series of one-shots, all collected in here. So you have the Batman Who Laughs, you have the Red Death right here, you have the Drowned over here. This is the one that I said was Bryce Wayne. And you have the Dawnbreaker over here, and the Murder Machine. And the Murder Machine is a really interesting character. I really like that one shot, and I did not expect to like it as much as I did. Then you have this character right here. This is the Merciless. And then you have the Devastator right there. Then we talk about this character called Barbatos, who is part of the Prophecy. Now, Dark Knight's Metal 2 ends, and we kick it off with Teen Titans. So this is actually the first appearance of the Batman Who Laughs was in this Teen Titans issue. So this is a 4-part crossover called the Gotham Resistance. It goes through the pages of Nightwing, it goes through Teen Titans, it goes through, I believe, Suicide Squad, if I'm not mistaken, with beautiful artwork, Paul Pelletier, Stephen Sajak, and then it ends with Green Arrow. Again, all of them fighting off this Batman Who Laughs. Out of all these Batman or variant Batmans, the big one that came out of it was the Batman Who Laughs. Then you get a one-shot right here. This is the Red Death. So you get to find out how this particular Earth, their particular character, whether Bruce Wayne or Wally West, or you can find out for yourself, becomes the Batman type of character. Then we get the one-shot of the Murder Machine. You get the one-shot over here of the Dawnbreaker. And then you get the one-shot of the Drowned. All of them drawn by several different artists, like Philip Tan, Tyler Kirkman, Ethan Van Sciver. Here's the story of the Merciless. And this one right here is the, I almost called him the Dawnbreaker. This is the Devastator. And then the Batman Who Laughs. This one written by James Tynion. Actually, James Tynion supplying a lot of the co-writing for the particular character of the Batman Who Laughs. And then we jump back to Dark Knight's Metal number 3. So all of the one-shots are between Dark Knight's Metal 2 and 3. We still have another couple of one-shots. And Chapter 3 is really how these characters are just wiping the floor with the Justice League. Then we have another crossover within titles. This is the Bat Out of Hell, I think is what it's called. And it goes through this Justice League, it goes through Green Lantern Corps, and it goes through the Flash. And I believe this particular, Bats Out of Hell. And Joshua Williamson, Tyler Kirkman, again, drawing some of the stuff in here. You have Liam Sharp drawing some of it, and you have Ethan Van Sciver draw the Green Lantern Corps part. And then we get a story called Batman Lost, which leads into Dark Knight's Metal issue 4. And then we have another story called Found, and you can find out what that is. So it is really the story of the Justice League coming together, trying to find Bruce Wayne, wherever he may be, and to fight off these variants, because all of these variants are Bruce Wayne or Bruce Wayne type of creatures, or maybe there's somebody else, because there might be some twists in there. So they're all pretty smart, and they're all really capable of taking down the Justice Leagues. So what happens when 7 of them come across, and what happens when we start seeing more and more of the Dark Multiverse variants come through? All hell breaking loose. And that's what this crossover is. And that's all I will talk about, really, because the rest of it is how they solve the problems, and beautiful artwork, of course. and even including the one-shots. The book has 760 pages. Let's take a look at the back, because we're going to look at the extras. And here are the extras. By the way, the final page of Dark Knight's Metal, number 6. The very last thing collected in here before the variants. Goosebumps. Goosebumps as a child of the 80s. Oh my gosh. So you have a bunch of variants back here. Andy Kubert, Jim Lee, John Romita Jr. supplying some of the covers. Now, some of the images you're going to be seeing through here, through these variants, did not come to play in the actual story. But I did skip a couple that were spoilery. In case you haven't read it. Golly, Michael Turner. He's gone way too soon, man. And even variants to the other titles. You have the character designs back here of all the different types of Batman. And then the absolute cover right here. And the direct market, which is, I think, was the image we saw. But we don't have a finished cover to the direct market cover. I was hoping they put it in the back, in case you just had the standard edition cover. And then the bios in the back. Now, this book has 760 pages. We'll look at the binding really quick. It is sewn binding, and here's what the eye looks like. And the Astonishing Melanie actually broke this one in and read it. So I'd like to see what her thoughts. Maybe we'll do an overview or a review of the book with spoilers for the people that have read it and want to know our thoughts on it. But this is the way it lays over towards the front. Let's look at the middle. Here's the middle and the back of the book. Now, one thing you're going to notice, I'm sure, or you may have already, is that I talked about the table of contents. It tells you the issue the chapter and the issue number it appeared in. Gives you page numbers. There are no page numbers in this omnibus. Yeah, there's no page numbers in the Omni to be found. So, at least you know when you're reading the stories. If you're going from Dark Knight's Metal 2, you go to Teen Titans 12. But much like all the other DC Omnis and Absolutes, they don't tell you what issue you're reading. And they do have textless covers. So you either have to figure it out. I know some people don't care, but I do like to be thorough with my overviews. And you have a cover. No info on the back. But you know you're starting a new chapter. I mean, it's not like we don't see obscurities like this before. I mean, Jonathan Hickman puts all his covers in the back. But I think that's more of a choice. But this has happened before with the page numbers. I think they just forgot. But that's it. 760 pages, $150. But that's all I can say about this. That, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this book, don't forget to check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of this omnibus. Let me know in the comments down below if you plan on picking this up, if you have the deluxe edition, the absolute edition, the hardcover, the trade paperback, or if you're going into this completely blind. Any other questions, leave them down below. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. Everyone stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.